Wat ik gelaufen in der Gasse, wat ik geschrien Shabbos, oh Shabbos, heilige Shabbos, ya la 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 la, ya mama my my, ya mama my ya mama ya ya baby ya mama ya mama ya hey ya la 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 ya la la ya mama ya hey ya ya la ya mama ya 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 mama ya ya mama ya ya mama ya Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Good to see you. Shabbat Shalom. We're on page 6 with the words of our ancestors. Shalom Aleichem, which means peace to you. Shalom Aleichem. Aleichem Shalom. Shalom Aleichem. Shabbos is so often associated with that word peace. Shlima de kola, the wholeness of it all. So babies singing, people dancing, Shabbat holds it. It's a container for all of it. It's a good gift that we've been given, and so we share it with the world and with ourselves, and you're giving yourself a gift tonight by being here. So we join together in song on page 6 as we welcome the angels. There's one right here. You might see her. She's right there. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashares, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzitchem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Mi Melech, Mi Melech, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yada Lai 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 Lai, Yada Lai 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 Dam, Hey Nei Nei, Hey Nei Nei, Hey Nei Nei, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As we turn to page together, page 9 and 10, the word lichu. You know, the Midrash says, the rabbis say that when, in this week's Torah portion, it says that God gave the Jewish people once again the instructions on Shabbat. And the rabbis say that God said to Moses, Matana tova yeshli bebekin azai v'shabbat shma lech ve'emor laYehudim. He said, I have a great gift for you. It's called Shabbat. It's here in my treasure house. Now, lech, go, run and tell the Jewish people. So every time we start this psalm on page 9 and 10, Psalm 95, and it says, Lechu, go. I feel like I'm in that Midrash. It's like, go tell everybody, it's Shabbat. Hey, did you know? It's Shabbat. Hey, did you know? It's Shabbat. You know, it's Shabbat on page 9 and 10, Lechu, Lechu. שם ידו מכרת וטרפות, הרים לו שלא היה מבשר ומזין. עליו עם הריסה וצאן ידו, היה בקולו אי תשמע. אל תרשו לבבכם כי מריבה, כי המסע במדבר שניסו לאבותיכם. 40 שנה עקוד בדור ואומר אבטום אין לבבכם והם לא ידעו
אשר נשבעתי ביפי
אם יבואון
אל מנוחה.
Page 11 and 12, Psalm 96.
שירו לאדוני שיהיה חדש,
שימו לאדוני כל הארץ, שימו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסו מיום ליום, ישועתו לברו הגויים כבודו, לכל התמים נדלותיי, גדול אדוני ומולד מאוד, דורך הוא על כל אלוהי, כל אלוהי, אבנים אליך, אדוני שמיים. במקדשו עוון אדוני נשפט עולמים, עוון אדוני כבוד ואור, עוון אדוני כבוד שמו, השתלחם עול אדוני בחדרת קודש, גדול אדוני בהדת קודש, חילו מפנתו כל הארץ ימנו וגוי, הוויה ממלכתי כותב בנים היקם משנים, ישמחו השמיים ותגב, לא שדי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצציו
לפני אדוני כיבם ישבות
הארץ ישבותם בצדק יגיע מממונתו, Please rise if you are not already standing. Psalm 29 on page 19 and 20. Why don't you guys lead? You guys start right here. Lead. Open up to all the images of the divine. Open up to Goddess, His beauty and strength. Open up to Goddess, all presence is heard. Hey, 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 bow deeply before Goddess. Ay, la, 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 Alamagin el akavoni. Oh, the voice of Goddess rides on the waters. The presence thunders, the divine one upon the many waves. Her voice is strength, her voice is beauty. That thunder voice, Adonai, Hadar, Adonai, the mountains themselves leap like lambs. God is the thunder voice kindles flame. The thunder voice, Jesus. כולו אומר כך, אדוני למה בו ישר אשר מלך לעולם אדוני עוז נאימן עמו בשם בנם במה יאי ביי ביי במה במה You may be seated as we continue on page 21 and 22. Ana b'chok gidulati minchata tirtzura. Kabel binata mechasa gveinu tarinu. V'chem tarim tikatcha tamid gamnein chasi kadosh b'rov kuvtcha. Third from the bottom of the page in the Hebrew. Yachid Ye'eh. Yachid Ye'eh. Amcha B'nei Zochrei Kedushatecha Yachid Ye'eh. לעמך פני זוכרי קדושתך ניני נאי 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 איי 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 קדושתך ניני נאי So take a minute, everyone. Close your eyes and just release the week in whatever way that you might let go of what you carried in here tonight, any plans, any thoughts, any tension, pressure. And into this spacious silence of sorts, might we allow whatever arises, whatever is heard, not pushing anything away, making space. If you feel called to open your eyes and find the words of our ancestors, you can find them on page 23 and 24. לך דודי והגעת לה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי הגעת לה בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת.
מחשבה
לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה
מקדש מלך
עיר מלוכה קום מצטעי מתוך הארץ רב לשבת והוא יחקור עלייך לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה התנערי עפר קומי על יד בן ישי בדרכי כל בר נפשי גאלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה יסיס עלייך אל Omega Nekavera, Aminus Mo. Ben parti, ben ismecha, ben nagila, Oma Elecha. Please rise and face the doors. Find the words on page 26 on the bottom of the page. Bo'i v'shalom ateres bala gam b'simcha u'v'tzara tochemune am segula vo'i chala Shabbat Malka, Aïlalai Lechadoni, Aïlalai Likras Kalom, Barai Beyene, Veni Shabbat Nekabelon. Please remain standing as we turn to face the front of the room. Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat, Psalm 92, on page 27 and 28. B'froch Rishonim K'mo Eisem, Bata Beidini B'shurai B'kamim L'Merim Tishman Oznai Tzadik. Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Deshenim Verananim You Suri velo alas. As we turn the page to page 29, Psalm 93, Adonai Malach, Geu lavesh lavesh Adonai oti tazar, tikonte b'matimot.
Mikolod mayim rabim adirim mishpreyam adir bamarom Adonai adir bamarom Adonai Edotecha nemnu meyom levetecha nava kodesh Adonai Ve'orech Yavni.
As we remain standing, we pray for healing at this moment for those in our community who are in need of healing. You can find the words to this prayer in the back of your Siddur on page 113.
Healer of the brokenhearted, binder of their wounds, counter of uncountable stars. You know who they are.
הרופא לשיעורי לב ומחבש לעצבותם מונה מספר לכוכבים לכולם
שמות
נקרא Adna Elnam Rifanallah Rifanallah. Bless and heal those who are in need of healing tonight as we hold them in our hearts as their presence and their fuller presence, the healing of those things broken, those places that hurt. Source of life, give us the strength to do what we can to bring that healing, and may that healing come soon for all of them and for all of those whom we love tonight. Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, in body, heart, mind, and spirit. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah. seated, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to walk around in a minute and ask those who are here for the first time, if you feel so called, to please, say hi. If you're not here for the first time and you also want to say hi, that's cool too. A couple of very brief announcements. They will correspond with your newsletter. So if you have a newsletter, I'm just going to be reading and highlighting a couple of important things that are there. This Sunday, there'll be an event at our sister community at B'nai Jeshurun at BJ on judicial reform and its impact on Israeli democracy. High-ranking IDF officers will present their perspectives on this issue. We will be co-sponsoring that event with others in the Jewish community. Screening of the documentary Conviction this Tuesday, story of J.J. Velasquez, who was on the criminal justice reform panel that we hosted here in December. The film is about his fight for freedom and to clear his name after 23 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. So stay online for a Q&A afterwards. All of that information is on your newsletter. It's the first of 4 webinars that the Criminal Justice Reform Work Group is putting together. Next Shabbat, Chesed Shabbat. Join us throughout Shabbat for learning about Chesed, or the service element of this community, its roles in our individual and communal lives. There'll be a potluck lunch and learn after Shabbat morning services. And we will be practicing nourishing each other and strengthening bonds in our community through Chesed. Register for that lunch so we know that what you will be bringing. So that's next week. Passover is coming up, believe it or not. I know. Angie's like, woo-hoo, I get to cook for 1,000 people, right, Angie? So Passover Seder coming up, April 6th, second night of Passover. We will be hosting a Seder across the street in the Romemu Center. So please visit our website, as well as now letting everybody know that I will be once again this year selling the chametz, selling the leaven products of this community. That form is on the website as well. So those of you who are looking to get ahead, you can get out there early now and get rid of your unwanted Wonder Bread and other, rugelach or whatever it might be. You can start early. And Hamantashen, exactly, Hamantashen. Join us, tomorrow, this next week, just to note this, next week Shabbat, Kabbalat Shabbat will be at 6:30. We begin at 6:30 as the clocks will be springing forward this coming Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning. So let everybody know. Next week at 6:30, if you come early like you did today, we'll have some meditation, maybe we'll have some cookies out, but we're going to start at 6:30. And tomorrow morning, our open book Parsha study is at 8:45, services again at 10 o'clock. After services tonight, everyone is welcome to a kiddush that's across the street. It's not lavish, but it's something. So it's across the street, everybody. All right. Announcements are over. Whew. I know all of you are thinking that too. As soon as announcements are over, you're like, ugh, back to the service. Anybody here want to say hello? Any first-timers? Sorry, Nate. I know this is hard. Doing a good job with the AV. You don't mind standing up, do you?
Great to be here. The rabbi and the congregation in Boston were Rabbi Susie Jacobson suggested of all the synagogues in New York City, this is the one to go to. My name is Rabbi Yitzhak Dov. It's been wonderful being here already. Thank you all very much for this beautiful, energetic, and loving energy.
Baruch haba. Anyone else over here? Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, nobody. Cool.
We're just going to sit here for 15 minutes then.
We'll just sit.
Built it in.
It's okay. Hi. You don't mind standing.
Sure. Hi, I'm Aaron. It's my first time here. It's great to be here. My friend Quinn brought me, so looking forward to meeting everyone. Having a great time.
Baruch Hashem. It's great. Anyone else want to say hi? Any hi-ers? Okay, hi. Hi. You don't mind standing.
Hey everybody, my name's Chuck. I'm here with my husband, Fred, and he has said wonderful things about this place, and he was right. So really glad to be here.
It's not over yet, so you gotta wait a second. There's plenty of time left to disappoint you, but hey, I'm happy that you're here. Anybody else? Yeah, the whole row.
Well, she was here last week. Okay, she stand up. Okay. I'm Julia.
I'm Talia.
We're students at Barnard. Yeah. We're friends with Claudia. Also,
Claudia.
just finished our first part of the semester. Our normal minion is not meeting this week because it's spring break, so we figured we'd try something new.
Yes, love it. Happy to be here.
Good Shabbos.
Happy Shabbos. Anybody else want to say hello? Okay. That's it. We are not, we haven't forgotten that we have an online community as well sometimes because we've shifted so deeply back to the in-person experience. I used to have a computer here, I'd see everybody that was online, I'd say hi, you know. And I just want to say hello to all of those who are online with us now in the Zoom or in Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are. We're happy to be celebrating Shabbat with you as well. It's good to have us all together in this space. I invite all of you to please rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to community, which can be found on page 31 and 32. So this song, this melody, has a title, as a name. It's called Shevet Achim, which means when brothers and sisters, when siblings sit together, right? So that's the name of the melody. Even though it's just a nigun, it was written with that in mind. So this moment, as we are standing here in this collective, and we call it the community, we imagine community as a place where everyone feels that they can be present, and that we honor the divine in each and every human being as they show up in our doors, in our sanctuaries, in our homes. And so this moment, we call out to the broadest possible assertion of the deep dignity of each human being. Each human being in the way that they look, in the way that they sing, in the way that they religion, in the way that they vote, in the way that they love, right? That in God's house, there's room for everyone. And so we call on that intention on page 31 and page 32, and we wait for your voices to sing together as we Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 na, 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 na. Ay, na, 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 oh, ay, na. Na, 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 oh, ay, na, 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 na. Na, 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 oh, ya, ba, bum. Oh, yeah, yeah. Baruch Hu et Adonai Adonai HaMevorach Shechina. You may be seated. Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'orah ma'ariva v'imchach ma'apotach hasharim. You who live and exist in all things, always guide us on our journey as the day passes away and brings in the night. The one who holds many are you. Eila chaya v'kayemet, תמיד תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוכה את שכינה המרהיבה ערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל on page 36. A love across space and time and soul. Have you loved us and taught us Torah mitzvot? ואהבה עתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. We prepare for Shema on page 37 and 38. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. On page 39 and 40, V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha
בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם בבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ושכבך בקומך, ושרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישרת.
We continue on page 41, 42, 43, 44. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ויעשו להם ציצית על גנבי בניהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית. הגנה בתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית. וראיתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם לא תדעו. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים לעוש לכם לאלוהים. אדוני אלוהיכם אמן ואמונה כל זאת. Moshe Miriam of Israel Lecha Anushir on page 48 on the top of the page. Besimcha Rabam ay 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 ve'ameru olam mi chamocha Elim Adonai mi kamocha neder b'kodesh nora tehilot Osef ele nora tehilot Osef oh malechutecha yahuvanecha בוקר גם לפני משה ומרים ואליון ואמרו אדוני ימלוך עלי עולם ועד ימבה ימבה יאי ימבה ביי ביי דיני לילה לילה ימבה ימבה ביי ביי ימבה ביי ביי ימבה ביי ביי ימבה ימבה יאי דיני לילה ימבה לילה ימבה ימבה ay na 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 yamba yini nay ay na 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 yamba yini nay nay ay na 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 yamba yamba yam ay ya 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 yamba yamba ya ya ay yamba yamba ya yamba yini nay nay yamba nay nay ay 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 yamba yamba ya yamba lene yamba na 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 ay yini nay nay Hey, yamba yamba oh, yamba yana na, yamba yana na, yamba yana na, yamba yamba ya, yamba yamba ya, yamba yamba ya, yamba 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 ya, yamba yamba ya, yamba 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 ya, yamba yamba ya, yamba 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 ya, yamba yamba ונאמר כי בנד ונס יעקב כל מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל page 49 נשכיבנו ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ועל ירושלים. Please rise if you're able. Page 51 and 52. לעשות את השבת ביני ובין בני ישראל עושים לגיום עיני נקיים יבבבי עושה את השמיים את הארץ Shavas Vayinovash Chatzi Kaddish V'yitkadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabbah Al Marev Rachidusei V'yamlich Machusei B'chayei U'v'yomei Chon U'v'chayei Nechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala ובזמן קורי וימרו יהי שמי לעולם יסברך וישתבח ויספאר ויסרומם ויסהדר ויסעלה שמי רכו תושבחתה בנחמתה דמירון בעלמא ואמרו amen. Silent Amidah can be found on page 55 and 56 or in your own words as we stand together in prayer. one of the features sometimes of when we've gone offline, when our brain is no longer in the present moment, but in some story or activated or triggered, any of those words that are now so common, and understanding the way that the mind works and the way that we engage with the world around us. One of the hallmarks is that we begin to think in black and white terms, in clear binaries between one thing and another. We make absolute statements. You're always this way. It's always the way it is. We get ourselves into places where we think about the world in survival mode. And in survival mode, things have to be simple. They have to be compartmentalized and clear. So I want to talk tonight about divorce. Because the Talmud says that when a couple comes to the end of their marriage, the end of their covenantal connection, the Torah tells us, and the rabbis say it poignantly, that the altar is yoredet dema'ot. The tears of the altar, the tears of that sacred space are shed over the coming apart, the rending asunder, the ripping apart that takes place, the decoupling. And that, as it were, they imagine God shedding her own tears over the loss of what might have been. There's a moment like that in this week's Torah portion, in our sacred story. A moment of rupture, a moment of rending, a moment of disconnect of something that was once together coming apart in ways that one might not have imagined, the unraveling of a sacred covenantal relationship. The Torah tells us that when Moses was up on the top of the mountain and the people were worried or concerned that Moshe had not come back, he was tarrying. Ki Moshe, Zeh ish Moshe, lo yadanu ma hayalo. We don't know what happened to this guy Moshe. Where is he? And they came to Aaron. We know the story. I don't know why it always appears that this story happens to coincide with the Oscars, with the gold. I don't know. It seems to happen every year. I don't know why. But they built themselves a little golden calf, a little pesela. And Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, our teacher, is up on the mountain. And God, of course, knows what's happening down below in the story. And Moshe and God are hanging out. And God says, I know what's happening down below. Lech reid ki shiches amcha. Go down, because your nation, God says, not mine, but yours. They ruined it. They've destroyed, they've corrupted it. Maharu, they quickly turned away from the path that I gave them. Vayom Adonai Moshe in verse 9 of chapter 32. Ra'iti et ha'am hazeh v'hinei am sharafu. They're really stiff-necked people, God says to Moshe. Verse 10, V'ata nichali. Yichar pi bahem v'achaleim. Now leave me alone, God says, in one of the better divine moments in the Torah. Let me be that I might destroy them. There'll be something in it for you. I'm going to make you into a great nation. And then this poignant, beautiful verse, and whose translation, the word that begins the verse, is so beautiful. Vayichal Moshe et pnei Adonai Elohav. The word in Hebrew, Vayichal, means to implore. He implores God, the face of God, and he says, Lam Adonai yechera abcha be'amecha asher hotzeita me'eretz Mitzrayim b'koach gadol b'yad chazaka. He says, why? God, why will you be angry with this people that you took out of the land of Egypt with a great arm and great strength? Lama yomru Mitzrayim lemor. Why should the Egyptians be able to say, B'ra'u tziyam laharogosam deharim u'lechalosam me'al pnei adama shuv mecharon apecha v'inachem al ra'ali amecha. Moshe says to him, God, what the PR, I mean, honestly, you took them out to destroy them in the desert? What kind of God is that? Very cruel, vengeful. Shuv, return from your anger. Zichor la'Avraham li'Yitzchak li'Yisrael avadecha. remember the promise you made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You made them an oath. Don't you remember how things could have been? Don't you remember the promise under the chuppah? Don't you remember under the wedding canopy? Don't you remember how things might have been? Don't you want to renew that hope of what might have been? And apparently, as we come to verse 14, it works. And God turned back, was persuaded. What do you do when you have an irate God who wants to wipe out everything that you worked so hard for? What's a leader to do in the face of tremendous disappointment, disillusionment, and shame? How do we respond to the threat of not getting or having come to pass all that we have spent our lives working towards and have imagined to be our reason for being? What is at stake when the straight path towards the promised land becomes the possible loss of that promise and that hope? Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher, stands in the presence of the divine, and the word he entreated, Vayichal Moshe. Everett Fox, the great translator, the hyper-literal translator, writes that the word Vayichal, which means to implore, to entreat, can also mean to soften. To soften God's face. To soothe, he writes. To soothe or soften. Moshe sees God crying, as it were, over the divorce, or the way things should and could have been. And God, in God's irate brain, the divine mind, God is thinking in categories of absolute. I'll destroy them. I'm done. You see what they did? And God's crying over this divorce. Not tears of sadness necessarily for the divorce itself, but that it's come to this. Vayichal Moshe, Moshe reaches over at Pnei Adonai. God, he touches God's cheek, as it were. And says, God, shh, calm down. It doesn't have to be over. It's not you have to choose this way or that way. You don't have to make the choice in this moment. It's not as big an emergency as you could possibly imagine. And not only that, calm down. Remember the promise. Remember the hope. Remember that things, right, with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were also not linear. Things didn't work exactly the way that you had imagined. There were trials, there were tribulations, there were ups and downs, there were moments where you thought that it wouldn't work, as it were. There were moments where Abraham or Isaac or Jacob, the Joseph narrative, remember that whole book of Genesis that you wrote, God? It didn't always seem like it was going to come out in the end in the right way. Vayichal Moshe, Moshe soothes God. Moshe calms God down. Just to think in this moment where we are in the American Jewish community. Last week I spoke from the pulpit about the ability to hold multiple truths in one place, that the month of Adar, the holiday of Purim, and the month itself is itself a reflection of the ability to hold two contradictory truths in one place, to live in nuance. And yet here we are 1 week later, and the temperature in the American Jewish community has gone up again. A public refutation by a well-known reporter for the New York Times telling American Jewry that we have to choose at this moment. We must choose. We have to. There's only two ways forward. Choose this side of truth or choose this other way. Rabbis, dear colleagues, people that I respect with the utmost integrity, calling upon us to cry the tears of Zion and cry about what's happening in Israel. Vayichal Moshe. I want Moshe to come and say, shh, it's okay. It's complicated. It's nuanced. I stand here tonight as someone who has stood at the Wailing Wall and screamed at the ultra-Orthodox who refused to have the women pray and who were spitting at them, standing in my way, receiving that venom and speaking on behalf of egalitarianism and a religious pluralism in Israel, I stand here tonight as a rabbi who believes deeply in the promise of Israel and in its hope. And I stand here tonight interrogated, as many of my colleagues who didn't yet speak out in the way that Thomas Friedman or others would have us speak out, to say there are many reasons why people have not yet spoken out in quite that way. And one of them is because, you see, it's complicated. You see, if you are a rabbi like me, whose gay nephew serves in the IDF and lives around the corner from where a terrorist struck just last night, if you, like me, want an end to the occupation as badly as anyone does, but recognizes that the judicial reform issues that are now on the table are not exactly the same issues, although some would have us, well, we should entertain that according to many, are rooted in the occupation, you might think more judiciously, so to speak, about how you weigh in on an internal Israel matter. Knowing that what you say might be used in the court of public opinion, as it already has been used, to underscore the seemingly unanimous belief that Israel is on the road to apartheid, the seemingly unanimous belief that Israel's democracy is eroding with every coming day. And if you are a rabbi who doesn't believe those screeds, if that isn't your personal belief about Israel, then you might be judicious about how you weigh in. You would find yourself, as I would, at the protests in Tel Aviv for sure, roundly saying how beautiful it is that Israel's democracy is being expressed through the protests. The beauty of how parliamentary work happens in the world. You might raise very, very deep concerns about members of the government there and fight with all that you have to make sure that religion in Israel is pluralistic, to make sure that those rights that have been extended to as many Israelis as possible are extended beyond them as well. You might fight for all of those things, but you would be cautious, and justifiably so, in the way that you spoke in this moment. Vayichal Moshe. Moshe reaches over to God and wipes away a tear and says, now's not the time for divorce. Now is not the time to make such stark and somewhat binary proclamations. With each passing moment here in the United States of America, American Jews are feeling the squeeze. We're feeling the squeeze because this country and its rise in anti-Semitism makes us wonder if we too are safe in this place. And yet at the same time, the liberal values that so many of us hold, we seem to feel are being corroded in the very homeland that we call our place. But I am not, nor do I believe any of you or any of us should be, in the place of divorce with the state of Israel. If anything, now is the time for us to plan a visit. If anything, now is the time for us to gather together and to say, let's get closer, not more distant. If anything, now is the time to go there and maybe protest, to participate. Now is the time to make our voices heard, because we too are part of that wonderful project. Now is the time. My nephew, again, serving in the IDF, living in Tel Aviv, enjoying the multicolored and multivariegated landscape that is the modern-day Israel. He would have us walk in the streets and see that not everything that we hear on the news, and not every sermon that we hear broadcast on YouTube, and not every column, as it has been expressed in the New York Times, is a true reflection of what that experience is like to live and walk and experience the land of Israel, the people of Israel. friend Michal Bitan, a colleague who is in Israel now teaching at the Hartman Institute, wrote this on Facebook, and it was sent to me by a friend, another friend. And she wrote, especially now, the embodied reminder that Israel and its beautiful people can never be fully captured by the newsreels feels indispensable and like a real gift. It's complicated, isn't it? I saw it today from Rabbi Zora Atkins, a remarkable scholar, brilliant mind, sensitive thinker. He said one of the great understandings of the golden calf is that really what is idolatrous is one-sided thinking. The impulse to reduce to black and white, to this or that, now or never, is ever present. And Moshe here is instructive. He says to God, Luke, don't forget about the tikvah, the hope. Don't forget about that promise. Don't forget how long the journey was to arrive at this moment. So protest. It's your democratic responsibility to raise your voice. March. Write articles. Participate in the unfolding of that amazing project, as we would do here in this country. But I would like to weigh in and say, be careful. Be careful with inflammatory rhetoric, urgent, scary articles that imagine the sky is falling, that this is the moment. There will be no next moment. There is a referendum happening on what Israel means to American Jews. That is an important, deeply important conversation. Please don't interpret the nuanced thinking of many rabbis around the country and various institutions, their reticence to jump in with tears of Zion. If anything, they're very sensitive to God's tears, to the altar as it sheds tears, and the desire not to pile on, to speak in measured tones, to try to lay out the complexity of the land for the majority of those who don't understand what it is to live in the terror of yet another rocket falling from somewhere without American Iron Dome to protect you. Those are my cousins and my brother and my sister and my nephews. Don't reduce what's happening on the judicial level with the broader, bigger question of which all of us hope to find an answer soon. Be respectful of the impulse that Moshe had to wipe a tear away from God's face and to say, shh, don't forget about the promise. Hatikva kvar shnot alpayim. I haven't given up hope. I hope that you haven't either. There's a lot of work to do to make sure that Israel and America and every country is a place where all human beings can feel safe, respected, seen. The work begins with soothing and softening. Please rise. Vehashevota, page 78. Elevavecha, Ki Adonai, Hu Elohim, O Vehashevota, Elevavecha, Ki Adonai, Hu Elohim. Page 80. Oh, Benemar, Adonai, Lemelech Please remain standing if you are saying the Mourner's Kaddish tonight. You can find the Mourner's Kaddish in the back of your Siddur. On page 115 and 116, and we invite those who are remembering loved ones to please rise. Sarah? Ron? Harley? Anyone else? Yes. Anyone else? Those who have the custom of standing, please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish. We include all of those online as well who've written in. And I just want to, in particular, also call out tonight the passing of Topol tonight. We are very conscious of that as people walking in. We were going to play Sunrise, Sunset. But I think better to quote him after my sermon, where he was famously in the scene where he said, where two people were arguing, he says, he's right, and the other one says, and he's right. And he says, how can they both be right? And he said, and you're right. Very Jewish moment, if ever there was one. He's right, you're right. How can they both be right? And you're right. The Mourner's Kaddish on page 115 and 116. Iskadal v'yiskadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'olma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yamichon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. V'agala u'vizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivrach v'alam me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ilam il kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'oma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shlom Rabbah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel. And let us say, Amen. Please remain standing, everybody. And those who are seated, please rise. Conclude the service with Kiddush. A gentle reminder that tomorrow morning I'll be our open book Parsha class with Rabbi Kohler Esses, followed by services. A thank you to Jackson Mercer and to Noah Solomon, to Claudia Sachs, and to Shoshana Jedwab, our amazing davening team. A thank you to Nate on AV and also all of our staff. I want to also say to all of you, as we close tonight, I have no way of knowing whether or not you sat through that sermon in great discomfort or whether you sat through that sermon with a knowing, yes, thank you, Rabbi. And I want to say that I've spoken about Israel maybe 6 times in 15 years. And at least one of them resulted in a large group of people leaving the shul in the middle of my sermon and then leaving the shul entirely because of what I said, which was not intended to hurt anyone. And one of the hallmarks of my own rabbinate, and I think the hallmark of what we tried to build here in Romemu, is at a place where we can stay in the room with each other. And I recognize that some of you really, really disagree with me, and I want to thank you for sitting here. I think it's part of what we do in democracies and in families and in relationships is that we can say things to one another that we disagree with, and that's okay. And that I hope deeply that nothing I said insulted anyone, God forbid, personally, and that I hope that Romemu and other communities like Romemu are places where robust conversations can happen. And maybe from this point and in other contexts, we might be able to have those more robust conversations. I know that I happen to have the pulpit, but that, God forbid, isn't intended to silence anyone. You're more than welcome to send me an email, right? And hopefully I can respond to them. And I just want you to know that I spoke from my heart, and I continue to speak from my heart. And I thank you all for staying in that space with me as well. Kiddush is on page 88, I think. 88. Please join me. Vayer vayevoker, Yom HaShishi, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם. ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה. וישבוס ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי. Sing with me. יבוא שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא. סברי חבריי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו מצוות עבירות צוונו ושבת קודשו ביאהבה ורצון הנחיל לנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש. מצרים כיבדנו ואותנו עם כל העמים ושבת באהבה ורצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. עשה שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל וימרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ויאמרו עליו נעים. Shabbos, everybody get Shabbos. Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Thank you.